Hi, this is Dr. Patrick Russell, and I want to welcome you to the Gospel of John and the Catholic Epistles course here in the spring of 2024. I've always found it not the most effective or efficient use of time to walk through the syllabus during class, so I decided to produce this video to do that, accomplish that end. If you have questions about the syllabus, please feel free to email me. My email is on the syllabus. Or we will spend some time at the beginning of the first class answering any questions. So let's just walk through the syllabus, and then also I'll give you a little tour of the Populi course, since a lot of the material is mounted there as well. So in terms of the syllabus, we have here the basic information about the course, and then we also have I'm just trying to get this to work. There we go. Course description, which comes off of the essential course syllabus. So for every course, at the required course in the MDiv program, we have what's called an essential course syllabus. These are syllabi that the faculty as a whole has produced for every course, and so this is the description from that essential course syllabus. And then also on that essential course syllabus, it delineates what elements of the MDiv and MA profile, those are the goals for the different degrees, the degree profiles, that should be, what elements from those profiles should be the focus, a particular focus of each course. So those are listed here too, from the MDiv program profile, the qualities and associated desired outcomes, as well as from the MA profile. And those are correlated, as you can see in the blue column. Those numbers represent a correlation to the student learning outcomes, which are listed here. Again, these are drawn from the essential course syllabus. I'm not going to read through all of this because I take a fair amount of time, but I do encourage you to do so, particularly reading the learning outcomes, what we're going to try to accomplish through the teaching of this course. Then what I've done, this is new for me actually, and so I'm excited to hear your feedback and kind of get your sense of what you think at the end of the semester, in particular about the validity of this thesis. You think about writing a paper, constructing any kind of overarching understanding of a subject. Well, you need to have a thesis. You need to have a main point. And so I've tried to articulate a thesis for the course. And here's what I come up with. The Gospel of John strives to hone the Johannine community's faith by inculcating a sacramental vision that sees the liminal melding of the supernatural and natural planes within Jesus' ministry and passion, which has thereby divinized the reality of the world through the Spirit's ongoing work and enabled the believer's familial bonding with God. There's a lot in there. Each phrase is kind of fraught with layers of meaning. But in some ways, like any good thesis, it should have a provocative element. The provocative element you'll find is this idea of a sacramental vision. Not all biblical scholars, not all Johannine scholars would agree with that phrasing of what's going on in the Gospel of John, or even that it is going on with the Gospel of John. So that'll be the interesting thing to see if that part of the thesis holds up. And as you go through the thesis, I could unpack other elements, but for now, we'll let that just hang there, hold it there, because this will be a touchstone throughout the course to see if indeed this plays out. This seems to be valid. Now, what you need in terms of this course, the textbooks, there is, you'll have your Bible, the Catholic Study Bible, which have here. Bring this to class every day. And then in terms of textbooks, well, each one of you will have a different textbook. I'll talk about this in a moment, but the way this course will be delivered is that each person will have a different assigned commentary to use as the primary textbook for that person, and then you'll share what you've gleaned from that commentary with the rest of the class. And that leads us maybe to the learning environment. I'm going to read through this because I think this is a key element of the syllabus. It says this course will be predominantly delivered in a seminar style. A flipped classroom model will be employed in which the most lecture material will be accessed via instructor videos posted on Populi. This will enable the use of class time to analyze and apply the delivered content. Further weekly class discussions will involve students contributing information and insights gleaned from their assigned biblical commentaries on pericopes in the Gospel of John. Thus, student preparation for and engagement in class discussions will be vital for creating a fruitful learning environment. So again, this will be a seminar-style course. We have the advantage of having, I believe it's 9 students in the class. We can have really good conversations together. They will have a point. They'll have a purpose. You'll see that even when we are using our commentaries, I will give you what I call focus questions, so we can kind of narrow the aperture of what we want to look within the gospel, so we don't like go all over the place. But my goal is to use class time instead of delivering content by listening to me drone on. To do that through video lectures, so then we can spend class time unpacking that material, using it to analyze the biblical text, engage more actively in evaluating and understanding and interpreting the Gospel of John and the Catholic epistles. Okay, so that'll be how the learning environment we're going to be employing. That means class attendance is important. You can read through that next paragraph. And then also I have provided here my policy related to the use of laptops and electronic devices, which you can use, but use them for obviously advancing learning. And if you do recordings, you need my permission before you share those with others. Make this big point here, instructor assistance. If at any time you're confused about the material or just need better understanding or guidance, please feel free to reach out to me. You can come during the office hours. If those don't work, we can find another time. You certainly send email to me. If you send a voicemail message, then it gets transcribed and sent to me as an email as well. So a voicemail message on my office phone. All right. Then here I provide the class schedule. And basically, you'll see as we get into the semester, there's a pattern to the weekly schedule. And so typically on Thursdays, you will have watched a video lecture of mine posted on Populi and also do some sort of reading assignment. And so then we'll use class to kind of unpack that. You'll also continue to read your commentary, but the main focus here is upon the material that's placed on Populi and unpacking and extending that learning. Particularly since this is the Gospel of John and the Catholic epistles, you'll see that we will kind of pick up the Catholic epistles along the way, and we'll use those as counterpoints or comparative points to the Gospel of John, and maybe unpacking, comparing some of the themes we see in the Gospel of John, and by looking at some of these Catholic epistles, comparing and contrasting those traditions, those texts. Then on Mondays, so that's Thursdays. Mondays is when we have what we call commentary discussions. And each one of you will be assigned, you can pick it, pick a commentary from an approved list. And what you will do is you will have read that scholar's analysis of usually a chapter out of John. And again, I'll have focus questions so we can kind of narrow the discussion down a bit. And be ready to come to class to share what that scholar has to say. So each of these commentaries will not only have different scholarly perspective, but also different methodological approaches. So this will be great because we'll be able to bring together from all of us what we've gleaned from these texts and share it so we can extend each other's learning as a whole. So, for example, the first commentary discussion will be on the baptizer's witness. Interesting, Gospel of John. John the Baptist is not called John the Baptist. He's the baptizer. So here you have to read John chapter 1, verses 19 through 28 in the text, and then also in your commentary. And again, there'll be questions that will kind of focus what you should take out of your commentary. And so then we'll hear what Linders has to say about that passage. We'll hear what Snackenberg has to say, or Brown, or Maloney, or Stibbe, whoever the different commentaries are being used, and those will have different methodological approaches and insights too, obviously. And we can then compare and contrast what each one of those scholars has to say about the text. Then we'll go, after we've kind of put those all on the table, do our own analysis. So what seems to hold up? What seems to be valid? And then let's extend that out to, so what are the hermeneutical implications? What does this mean for the life of faith? What does this mean for pastoral service? How might we preach this passage in light of what we, in an exegetically sound way, given what we've just read? So that will be the goal of these Monday classes. They'll be very discussion-based and, really drawn from what you bring to the table from your reading of these different scholars' analyses, right? Okay, so that's what happens here on Mondays. And then again on Tuesdays. It'll still be very discussion-based, but it'll be more focused upon, here's really why I'm giving you my perspective on the gospel, right? You'll get from these video lectures my particular interpretations, readings, and then we can kind of analyze that, see if that holds up. You'll still be reading your commentary here, but it won't be the focus of what we're talking about per se. But you will bring those insights into those conversations. There are, and I'm going to talk about here in a minute, obviously daily class preparation will be important. There are 3 major assignments. There'll be a midterm exam, a narrative critical paper, that'll be the methodology you'll use, and then a final exam, which will be a team debate. So let's walk through, and I give you the deadlines for those, just so they're all kind of put in front of you in one place. They're also within the syllabus, but let's walk through those assignments. So I already talked a lot about class participation, so I won't work through there. That'll be worth 40% of your grade, 20% from your class participation from first quarter, 20% from the second quarter. And then you'll do this narrative critical paper. So probably up to this point you haven't done a narrative critical paper. We typically have you complete historical critical papers. So narrative criticism is not a historical critical method. It's what's called a synchronic approach versus a diachronic approach towards interpreting the scriptures. We'll talk much more about it. I think the challenge now, and you'll end up writing a narrative critical paper on one of the scrutiny gospels. If you have anybody in the RCIA process who is preparing to be baptized, then the liturgical expectations rubrics say that you should be using the readings from year C, and those readings are 3 of those readings are drawn from John. At least most of the readings are drawn from John. And the scrutiny gospels, which are three different moments within Lent in which the person preparing for baptism is brought before the community, and there's these what are called scrutinies, and you're probably well familiar with this through your other coursework within sacramental theology. But in those scrutinies, they're all gospels. All of them are drawn from the Gospel of John, right? So you have the woman at the well from chapter 4. You have the man born blind in chapter 9. And then you have the raising of Lazarus in chapter 11. So you need to do a narrative critical paper on one of those 3 scrutiny gospels. When I worked in the parish, at St. Dominic's Parish in Brookfield, Wisconsin for 6 years as the adult and family minister. And the pastor, Father Kurt Frederick, we always, he said, boy, I'm getting so hard to keep preaching on these scrutiny gospels because we've had, every year, we've had somebody preparing for baptism. And I have nothing new to say about the scrutiny gospels. And so please, he said to me, because since I was the adult and family minister and ran the RCIA program, he said, please tell me you don't have anyone preparing for baptism. He said, I hate to say that, but on any adults. And I said, well, Father Kurt, you'll be happy to know, in fact, we don't have any catechumens. We do have some candidates, but that doesn't require the use of the scrutiny gospels. So you are correct. This year there will not be any catechumens, but you are incorrect that you won't have to preach on the scrutiny gospels because this is year 3. and year 3 requires or has the scrutiny gospels as the Lenten readings. So he did not get off the hook, but the point here is simply that you will almost inevitably preach a lot on these 3 gospels. So this is why I have you focus your paper on, for those of you preparing for ordination, that is. But then this is why I'm having you do the paper focused on one of those 3 gospels. And then there'll be a 2 what I call exams in some ways. Midterm exam. This will be an in-class session, but you can write anywhere. This will not be a surprise. Basically, chapters 7 and 8 in Gospel of John, the exam will be over those 2 chapters, not the entire chapters. I will give you a pericope, 2 pericopes, and you choose one. 2 pericopes, choose one, and we will have looked at these 5 themes within the Gospel of John, and basically you're to analyze that pericope using those 5 themes. Where are they present, and how does that help understand or interpret the passage? So this should not be difficult because it'll be the culmination of what we've done up to that point. You just won't know which passage you will have to analyze, but you could prepare in it well in advance, knowing from those 2 chapters, 7 and 8, that the pericope will be drawn from there. You can even, I even recommend you color code the passage with these themes. So that's what that midterm will exist, but it'll be a timed exam. You'll have an hour and 15 minutes to complete it. But again, you can do it on your laptop. You can do it anywhere, and then just submit it via Populi at the end of the exam session. By the end of it, and then there'll be a team debates. These will be you'll be broken into teams. There'll be 2 people on each team, so there'll be a total of 4 people engaged in one debate. There's a lot of directions on this, but basically you will be assigned a topic. And again, you'll be assigned this topic at the beginning of the semester. We'll break out the teams. And the topics are such that you'll draw information. You're not to do outside research. You're to draw information from the course material and from the gospel itself. It relates to a disputed interpretive issue within the Gospel of John, each of the topics. And so as we go through the semester, you can be preparing for this debate by collecting pericopes or other information that you say, oh, we might want to put this in our file or to use later on in the team debate at the end of the semester. All right, so those are the 3 major assignments, all very integrated within the goals of the course. Have the statement about academic integrity, my grading scale, which is really a popularized grading scale. And then, again, I talked about my own availability, but then we have support systems beyond, tapping me. So here we have the academic assistance that we have available institutionally. Talk about the learning accommodations and for any ESL bridging students, what we can do for you in terms of helping you be successful. Then I provide an explanation of assignments. This is about how I'll grade class participation, the rubric I'll use there for that. Here's a discussion about the narrative critical paper and the midterm exam, and finally the final exam. And then at the end of the syllabus, I give you all the where the readings show up in the Sunday or major feasts. So again, this is kind of helpful. So you know as we go through the semester, which pericopes you'll be actually preaching on, at least on Sundays and major feasts. All right, so let's then, now that we've gone through the syllabus, I'd like to go through Populi, because you will find that the syllabus gives you a kind of a sketch of what we're going to do every semester, or every class period. But this is really where you have to go to make sure you know what's expected, what you need to complete for each class session. So you can see, first off, let me talk about this first lesson. This is all underneath lessons. So if I go back to my dashboard, here's my welcome. And then let me change, let me change this over. Move myself. let me change this over to your view so you can see what you'll see. This is, okay. So this is what you'll see when you land here at the opening page. You'll see syllabus, lessons, files, and of course here on syllabus I do post, if you scroll down, the syllabus so you can see here the syllabus, and it's always mounted there. And you know, underneath assignments, well, you'll submit your midterm exam and your narrative critical paper. But the main thing you will want to look at here is lessons, right? And so you can see how here we have the different lessons, and right now all you can look at are these two. Looks like I haven't closed out these. I will close those out, but lock those for the moment. But all the same, these become open as we go along through the course. Let's start here with coursework explanations, because what I have here is details about these major assignments. So it's all there. And I talk again a little introduction of the course. I give you then the coursework calculator. So I've worked out how much work, how much time will it take you to complete these various assignments based upon what's called the coursework calculator. This is an institutional resource that is developed to help determine how long does it take to do this narrative critical paper? How long is it going to take to do this reading, daily reading you'll have to do, or reading in preparation for class. Okay, so that's delineated here. And again, I post the syllabus just so it's available right here. It's kind of redundant, but just to be helpful. And then, so if you go through, read through that, then, you know, again, just to kind of make sure you know how to go through Populi, you kind of have to click on each page to open up the next page. But then here's class participation. I talk about the assessment. This will be where you'll sign up. We'll talk about this in class, but you'll sign up for one of these different commentaries. Here's we talk about the midterm exam, you know, and here's the assessment criteria, but then here's those themes we'll use. And then I give you some resources down here in which I color code chapter 5, give you an example of how you could color code, you know, the pericope to the themes. And I actually give you, based on chapter 5 of John, and the exam's going to be over 7 and 8, but give you a hypothetical answer using these 5 themes, and then I put in margin comments so you can kind of see my analysis of this answer, the strengths and weaknesses of it. So that's kind of helpful for understanding what to do on the midterm exam. Narrative critical paper, I give you a lot of information about how to write a narrative critical paper. Not only this little descriptor here, but then a rather long document that goes through narrative criticism and some tools to use to do narrative criticism. We'll talk more about narrative criticism. I give you some examples of narrative criticism. And again, I put in my comments on the side here about the strengths and weaknesses of this narrative critical paper, which can be helpful too. Okay, and then you'll see the final exam, the team debates, and again, a lot of information here. Not only just explain the format, but also here's the possible topics. So you'll debate one of these 3 different topics about soteriology, sacramentology, or ethics. And I actually give you some initial lines of argumentation. So here's what the how it could be debated. If this is the resolution, then here are some key lines of argumentation, so kind of get you going in the right direction. I give you again a document that has some more information about that. So everything you need for the major assignment should be easily accessible here underneath this coursework explanation. Let me then look at what you're going to have to do for Thursday, because you will have to do some work, about 2 hours worth of work before our first class session. Here's how every lesson is organized the same. So if I go back here, every single one of these has the same 5 pages. And what are those 5 pages? We have a lesson overview, the learning exercises, the formational synthesis, the class plan, and then the additional resources. Okay, additional resources is optional. Class plan is going to tell you what we're going to do in class, just so and it will literally give you the class outline, you know, for the planned structure of the course. Okay, so here's the first page, which is the learning overview, and it basically tells you, whoops, what we're going to do. You'll see in future, and maybe I can show you that once I click through this. Usually what I have is a review of what we have learned from the previous class and then what we will learn in the next class. So this kind of just tells you, here's what we're going to try to accomplish. Nope. I'm sorry, I wasn't there yet. Yeah. Good. So here we are. My apologies. Sorry. I hope I didn't confuse you. Here's the lesson overview, and you can see how I have a review of learning. So this is just kind of talking about this lecture, this orientation to the syllabus, and what we covered already. And then here's what we're going to do for the coming week class. And it will always have a goal. So again, maybe you could talk about these as sub-theses to my major thesis. We're going to have this thesis for the class session, or the learning exercises in the class session. And then here's kind of your plan in terms of what you need to do before class. You know, you need to complete these learning exercises. You need to reflect on the formational synthesis page, and then come ready to engage in class discussion. So then if we go to learning exercises, you can either click on the right here or at the bottom. You'll always see, you know, go to the next page. And then here, you know, the outline. Okay, we're going to divide this into two parts. First, we're going to talk about John's distinctiveness. So you're going to read a very one-page overview of the Gospel of John from the USCCB website. Then you're going to watch my video. And then I always will, if I give you a video, I'll have, you know, you click on this, obviously, there's the Gospel of John, and it'll start playing. Okay, and I gotta click out of this. Yeah, this is the problem with this, is that some of my tools are in the way. Get out of the way. Okay. Grr. Exit drawing. There we go. Let's do this. Okay, so this is trying to play. I'll stop it. Okay, I come back here, and then what I will do is also provide you. These are linked into YouTube, mounted on YouTube, and you can watch these videos. You do need to watch it via this, because I will require these, and you won't be able to get to the other pages unless you click through here. Right? You got to watch the video in order to get to the next page. And then I have this outline available, and so this is the outline of my lecture. And so you could either download this and put it onto your laptop. There's always in Word, and you could, you know, take notes by expanding this outline by typing in it, or you may want to take notes by hand. I would approach these video lectures just like you do if it was a class lecture. So you're actively taking notes, because we will refer to this material in class, and I'll ask you, what did I say here? What are the 3 main points I made here? And I'll call on you, so you better be ready to, you know, give me your answer. So take notes like you would if it was just a class. And I would not, you know, you can certainly pause the video. That's an advantage of it. But, you know, I try to take notes in real time to save yourself time and become efficient that way. So you can decide if you can do that by typing or by hand. But either way, you have the structure of the talk, right, of the lecture here, and you can flesh it out from there, which can be helpful. Sometimes, you know, this might be just a series of questions, like 5 questions. What is the implications of when this was said, you know, whatever. What are the 5 characteristics? But here I give you an actual outline form. Okay, so let's get out of there. So that's very typical, or always the case, is that you'll have a lecture, video lecture on these Thursdays, and then I'll give you some lecture notes. So the outline of the talk. And then here it says, then read this article on symbolism in the 4th gospel. And again, here's the link. So you click on that, and there you go. You have this short article on this topic. And then for class on Thursday, then have you read the short little document that I put together on why I study the Catholic epistles. I don't know, I think this is like 6 pages, but it's actually pretty brief because a lot of this is talking about the letter form, so it won't take you too long to get through that, because in class we will actually analyze the second letter of John. And that's what I talk about here, is read this document about the second letter of John, and you're going to read this document. This is just the second letter of John, and then I have some comments, really the questions on the side that can kind of open up the passage for you. So preparing to discuss this document. Okay, so this is pretty typical, where if I have a video lecture, I'll have this will only be on typically on Thursdays, because on Mondays we're always just reading your commentary and discussing it. But if I have a lecture, I'll have a Word document giving you the outline of the lecture, and then you'll see, let me see, we just click through that. So you saw, yeah, we saw that already, thank you. And then, and you can see where it says here what's required and what's not required, right? So then I want to go towards next page. I'm not sure why I am not getting to the next page. For my purposes right now, I'm going to exit the student view just so I can do this more effectively. Okay, good. And then we'll go to formational synthesis. For you have to go through anything that's clicked as required. You have to open that up in order to go to the next page. So there must have been something I didn't click on there. This page then will basically, how do we connect the material? Because we want to become faith-filled exegetes. So let's connect this material to the 4 dimensions of formation. And what I give you here are some questions, reflection questions. Here I give you, and please do read this. This is sort of a foundational discussion about how we're going to approach intellectual formation. But I just basically give you usually 2 questions underneath each dimension. You do not need to write anything for these formational synthesis. You should read them and kind of think about them, be prepared to share your thoughts on them. But these will be processed in class. We'll give you time to talk about some of these questions. You'll see how we do that. Sometimes it'll be in the group of the whole. Sometimes I break into dyads or triads. But we will give you a chance to connect the material, the intellectual material, to the 4 dimensions of formation. All right, and then you'll see the class plan. So this is, all of this, it says preparation, tells you what to bring to class out of the material from the learning exercises, or things that to download that are here. Like you'll see here, it says handouts posted below, either in hard copy or digitally, and they're down here, right? There's this Brown overview and this epistolary analysis document, a new document. And then I'll give you what we're trying to achieve, which you saw already in the lesson overview. And then I'll break that out into learning objectives more specifically. And then here's really, the organization of the class. We'll do prayer and announcements. We'll spend some time talking about this course thesis. I'll talk a little more about that in person. And then give you time to ask questions about the syllabus. Then we'll talk about John's distinctiveness, and then we'll look into Johannine Christology, then we'll do a synthesis. And in here we're going to analyze the second letter of John. Okay, so you get the idea. This is how, and finally, then you have additional resources. These are always optional, but sometimes I'm kind of developing this as we go through the semester. So some of this may be more fleshed out than other weeks. But like here's a lecture from Paula Guder, who's a very good overview on the Gospel of John, if you want to get another perspective on it. And then this is Raymond Brown's analysis of the second letter of John, if you'd like to read that. Again, what you'll find here on additional resources is optional. You do not need to read or prepare that material at all. It's simply for your own means to extend learning if you find that helpful. Sometimes what I post on here is from like The Chosen. the clips from or other movies of different gospel scenes. Sometimes that's kind of nice to look at how those scenes are portrayed, and gives you kind of a new kind of vantage point into the pericope. Okay, so I hope that's helpful about the course and syllabus, course assignments, and then also the Populi page, how it is organized and how it is structured. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email address, which is on the syllabus, is prussell, russell, at shsst.edu. But as I said, we'll also provide about 10 minutes of time, or if we need more, we'll take more. But ideally, we do this efficiently at the beginning of class to answer any questions you have. We will talk about the commentaries in more detail on the first class session as well. All right, looking forward to journeying with you through this course. I hope you're all doing well, had a beautiful Christmas season, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.